You've heard the word, right? Bitcoin, crypto. Maybe you've got that one friend who just will not stop talking about it. But what is it really? It feels like one of those topics everyone mentions, but almost no one truly gets. Well, today we are going to change that. Here's our game plan. We're going to break this all down into 5 easy-to-digest parts. First up, we'll nail down a clear definition of what cryptocurrency even is. Then, we're going to peek under the hood at the engine that makes it all run, the blockchain. After that, we'll take a tour of the whole crypto ecosystem, face the huge risks and the wild potential rewards. And then, finally, I'll leave you with the one thing you absolutely need to know before you even think about jumping in. To really wrap your head around this, let's start with a simple but kind of mind-bending question. Just imagine your money, but it lives completely online. No banks, no credit card companies, absolutely no middlemen. That's it. That is the core disruptive idea we're going to unpack, starting with the very basics.
All right, section 1. What are we actually talking about when we say cryptocurrency? Because, it's not just about some digital cash on an app. It's about a completely different way of thinking about value and trust itself. Okay, so at its heart, it's just digital money. You can't hold a crypto coin or bill in your hand. It only exists in the digital world. The crypto part, that comes from cryptography, which is really just a super fancy way of saying it's all secured by complex code that makes it incredibly tough to fake. And that last part is the real game changer. It's all about peer-to-peer transactions. Think about it like handing cash to a friend, but you're doing it online, without any bank needing to say it's okay.
Now this slide here, this really gets to the core of it. The money you're used to, dollars, euros, whatever, it's centralized. A government and its central banker in charge. Cryptocurrency, on the other hand, is decentralized. No single person, no company, no government is pulling the strings. And that is the detail that changes absolutely everything.
So, if there's no bank, how does anything actually work? How do you stop people from just cheating? Well, the answer is this really brilliant piece of technology called the blockchain. And I know, it sounds super complicated, but the main idea is actually surprisingly simple.
I want you to imagine a notebook. Every time a transaction happens, let's say I send you 1 Bitcoin. It gets written down on a brand new page. Now here's the magic trick. A copy of that entire notebook is given to thousands and thousands of computers all over the world. So when that new page is added, everyone can see it. We all agree it happened, but because we all have a copy, it's basically impossible for one person to sneak back and change a page without everybody else's notebook showing something different. It's self-policing.
So let's walk through what a single transaction actually looks like. It all happens in 4 key steps. First, you hit send. You request the transaction. That request gets broadcast out to that huge global network of computers. Then those computers, which we call miners, they all race each other to verify that you actually have the money and that everything's legit. Once it's verified, it gets bundled up with a bunch of other transactions into what's called a block, and that block gets added to the chain. It's a new, permanent page in that shared digital notebook.
So what are these miners actually doing? Well, they're using massive amounts of computer power to solve these incredibly difficult math puzzles. It's like a lottery, but for nerds. The first computer to solve the puzzle gets to add the next block to the chain. And for all that hard work, and believe me, it uses a ton of electricity, they get a reward. Brand new cryptocurrency. That's how new coins are actually born, and it's the incentive that keeps the whole network honest and secure.
Okay, so we've got the what and we've got the how. Now let's learn the lingo of the crypto world. When you start poking around, you're going to hear a few key terms over and over and over again, and we're about to demystify them. We're going to hit the big 4 you'll hear all the time. Bitcoin, the OG. Altcoins, which is pretty much everything else. Wallets, which is where you stash your digital cash. And forks, which is what happens when the whole community has a big disagreement. All right, first up, the one that started it all, Bitcoin. It was created way back in 2009 by this mysterious person or group called Satoshi Nakamoto. To this day, nobody knows who they are. Bitcoin is the original, it's the biggest, and it's the most famous. Everything else, and I mean everything, from huge platforms like Ethereum to meme coins like Dogecoin, is just lumped together as an altcoin. It literally just means an alternative to Bitcoin. So, where do you actually keep this digital money? You keep it in a crypto wallet. But it's not like the leather one in your pocket. A hot wallet is connected to the internet, like an app on your phone. It's super convenient, really easy to use. A cold wallet, though, is offline. It's usually a physical device, kind of like a USB stick. It's way less convenient to use, for sure, but it is far, far more secure from online hackers. It's really a classic trade-off: convenience versus security.
And now we get to the part that grabs all the headlines: the money. I mean, let's be honest, people are drawn to crypto because of its potential for insane returns. But you absolutely cannot talk about the rewards without being brutally honest about the risks.
Let's just be crystal clear about one thing. The crypto market is wildly, unbelievably unpredictable. Prices can shoot to the moon in a matter of days, but they can, and they often do, crash just as fast. I'm talking about price swings that you would almost never see in traditional markets. This is not a slow and steady kind of investment. It is a financial roller coaster, and you better be prepared for the drops.
So what causes these insane swings? Well, a whole bunch of things. A single news story, a tweet from somebody famous that can send prices soaring or send them into a nosedive. Even just the rumor of new government regulations can freak out the entire market. A lot of the time, the price is driven less by solid fundamentals and more by pure emotion, by hype and by fear.
And this slide right here perfectly lays out the big trade-offs. On one side, the pros are really compelling. It's decentralized, it's open 24/7, and yeah, there's potential for huge returns. But the cons. The cons are serious, and you can't ignore them. We talked about volatility, but just as important is the total lack of consumer protection. If your account gets hacked, or if you accidentally send your crypto to the wrong person, there's no bank to call, there's no 1-800 number, there is no undo button, it's just gone forever.
So, after all of that, what's the single most important thing to take away from our little explainer today? If you remember just one thing, please let it be this.
FOMO, the fear of missing out. It is your absolute worst enemy in this space. You'll see these stories about people becoming millionaires overnight, and the temptation to just jump in without thinking is huge. But for every one of those success stories, there are 1,000 others who lost a ton of money by making impulsive, emotional decisions. The golden rule, the absolute #1 rule, is to do your own thorough research before you ever think about putting real money on the line.
And that leads us to the final, fascinating question at the heart of all this. Are we looking at the dawn of a brand new financial system? A fundamental change in the way we think about money? Or is this whole thing just a massive speculative bubble, totally fueled by hype that's just waiting to pop? That, right there, is the billion-dollar, or maybe trillion-dollar question everyone is trying to answer. And now, you're a whole lot better equipped to follow that conversation.